Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
More details are emerging about the practical implications of schedule policy career. New guidance from the Office of Personnel Management comes as agencies face a looming deadline to formally reclassify thousands of career federal employees. In effect, those reclassifications will strip workers of long-standing civil service protections. Here with the latest is Federal News Network's Drew Friedman. Drew, thanks for being here.
Nice to be with you, Terry.
I know you are following this story closely. Before we jump into the latest, give us a quick background on where agencies and employees stand right now regarding schedule policy career.
Well, after we saw the executive order last week from President Trump, which made official about 8,000 reclassifications of career federal employees, now we're seeing a lot of that come down to the practical nuts and bolts of, how is this going to change things for those thousands of employees across government? Of course, as we know, the Trump administration has been working to put together schedule policy career and this new classification of federal employment. Really, since the president's first day in office, we've seen a lot of steps through the regulatory process, through different executive orders on this. But now things are becoming very real for employees who are going to see these reclassifications.
And OPM has published implementation guidance. What are the headlines there?
That's right. So we see a lot more details now from OPM on what this is going to look like for the employees who do get moved into schedule policy career. Even though the executive order did make those reclassifications official, there's still some kind of paperwork and processing type work that agencies are going to have to do. First, to inform federal employees of their reclassifications, update their workforce and personnel files, and make sure that everything is set, that this is actually going to be fully implemented. So that guidance from OPM that we just saw come out this week goes into a lot more detail about adverse action proceedings, how this is going to affect federal hiring, how this is going to affect whistleblower protections, prohibited personnel practices, performance and awards and bonuses, and just a lot of varying things that are going to change for these employees here.
Drew, it sounds like there's going to be a little bit of a break-in period as this gets up and rolling, but you just articulated a number of key changes. Let's take the disciplinary policies and protections first. What are the big changes that these folks who have been reclassified will see?
That's right. And I do think that is a good place to start, just because that's the one that seems to be grabbing the most headlines and the most attention here is you're losing your civil service protections that make you an at-will employee and make you easier to fire for most reasons within, of course, legal bounds, as the Trump administration has said. But if you look at the actual implementation side of things here, discipline procedures are now going to be what OPM says are one-step actions. So there's no need for giving advance notice to personnel if you're going to fire them. There's no need to put an employee on a performance improvement plan. You can really just fire employee at will if you believe that they're not carrying out the president's policy or priority areas. OPM said at the same time, managers still have to be fair, follow the law, follow policy. And a lot of those decisions could be based, if employees do end up getting fired from this category of employment, the way OPM has worded it in some of its documents is that these decisions could be based on performance, conduct, or mission-related reasons. So a very broad category here of things that could potentially mean the end of employment for schedule policy career workers.
You also talked about prohibited personnel practices and other sorts of workplace and personnel policies. What are you reading in the implementation guidance about those?
There's a lot of things that both will change and won't change when it comes to just kind of broader personnel policies. So, for example, employees' pay and benefits won't really change. Their collective bargaining status won't automatically change, but there still could be some room for that to change if agencies make some sort of decision or petition in that sense. But in areas that employees will see things change is they will no longer be eligible, for example, for retention, recruitment, or relocation incentives. They won't have access to student loan repayment options. They won't be eligible for the presidential rank awards. They'll have to have a separate category of performance bonuses and awards, and just a lot of different policy changes there. And then when it comes to prohibited personnel practices, the Trump administration says those still apply, as do whistleblower disclosures. So according to OPM's guidance, these employees can still make whistleblower disclosures to the Office of Special Counsel. But if they believe that there's been some sort of prohibited personnel action against them by the agency, they will have to go through their own agency's internal general counsel office for any concerns there. They won't be able to take those to the OSC or any other independent agency from here on out. So there's going to be a lot of process changes for these employees here as well.
Drew, we're talking about changes for folks who are already in these positions, but OPM's offered some guidance about what to do when hiring for these positions now as well.
That's right. So we're not seeing this just, of course, for the employees who have been converted, but if agencies are hiring, then we're going to see those changes in the recruitment process too. So the way that is going to work, according to OPM's guidance here, is that on USA Jobs, it's going to be apparent or clear that the position is an at-will position. It will be covered by schedule policy career, and new hires will have to sign paperwork confirming that they understand that their position is at will and that they can be fired at any time and for most any reason. There's also confirmation that employees or new hires would have to make that they understand that they won't have access to the Merit Systems Protection Board to appeal adverse actions if there's issues with their performance or any sort of disciplinary matter there. So there's a lot of changes on the front end as well. And I think we're going to see a lot more kind of paperwork come out of this. But just more broadly speaking, I think these employees who are the current ones are going to see these changes pretty immediately as well.
Drew, we're only about a week out from the signing of the executive order. Are people still waiting to find out if they've actually been reclassified?
Some seem to still be waiting. Some may have already been informed, but agencies were given a 7-day deadline from the signing of the executive order, which is actually today, Wednesday, for agencies to inform all employees who have been reclassified. So I'd imagine that employees who don't already know if they have been converted to schedule policy career will find out sometime today. And from there, they might get more information from their agencies on what exactly that's going to look like in their personnel policies and their files there.
That's Federal News Network's Drew Friedman. Drew, thanks for bringing us this latest news.
Thank you, Terry.
You can find her story at federalnewsnetwork.com.